Yeah, so I think the group has set itself a target to move from non-binding term sheet to binding hydrogen sale and purchase agreement, or SPA. Again, that would be a milestone for the industry, but it certainly sets the next 6 months up of moving from concept to term sheet to binding agreements for both offtake and shipping, which sets us up nicely for this year.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Provaris Energy Managing Director and CEO, Martin Carolan. Martin, very good to speak with you. Regarding your recent announcement, can you talk us through the background to the term sheet and the significance of this milestone to Provaris?
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. I guess the context is that we've been working with Uniper for over almost 12 months now. So we started our initial MOU back in December of 2023, and we've been working through the first half of 2024 on validating our approach and business model using compression, looking at supply chains in the European context and region. We then introduced another collaboration that we already had with the Norwegian developer, being Norwegian Hydrogen. We've been working with them on an export site. And then we progressed all three into a tri-party agreement last year, which was targeting the culmination of a term sheet by the end of the calendar year, which has culminated early this year. So it is the first of our term sheet level commercial stage for Provaris in terms of its shipping solution, but also in the context of Europe here. It's probably the first of its bulk scale nature that we've seen for some time in the industry.
In the context of the hydrogen markets in Europe, where does the proposed terms sit alongside other term sheets or binding SPA agreements being announced?
Well, if you look at the volume of 42,500 tonnes per annum, contract terms of 10 years minimum, I mean, the context of the European market or Germany's requirement for import, it's still relatively small. But in the context of what we've seen from a sector perspective, 200, that equates to many other hydrogen projects that are slated to be exported using ammonia. So 300,000 tonnes of ammonia is something somewhat similar. So as hydrogen, it's probably the largest of its kind that we've seen. So I guess that's validation that the work that we've been doing over recent years, but more with our collaboration partners, that it's starting to have significance and reality to commercial steps.
What are the key roles of each party, Martin?
Yeah, so as mentioned, so we've been working with Norwegian Hydrogen on the export site. So we'll continue to develop that site here in Norway. We are together also reviewing other sites in the Nordics. Finland is certainly one on our radar. Provaris needs to deliver the shipping midstream solution, which we're going through stages of final approvals, working with ship owners and the financing and the chartering side. And Uniper's perspective as off-taker, they will also be responsible for nominating the import site location, arranging capacity of that terminal, and then connection to the backbone, and then onwards to their distribution of customers.
And the key milestones ahead for the parties?
Yeah, so I think the group has set itself a target to move from non-binding term sheet to binding hydrogen sale and purchase agreement, or SPA. Again, that would be a milestone for the industry, but it certainly sets the next 6 months up of moving from concept to term sheet to binding agreements for both offtake and shipping, which sets us up nicely for this year.
Martin, how does this advance the development of Provaris and its compressed hydrogen carriers?
Yeah, we've been talking about our approach for the last 3 years. We've been talking about our interest from the market here over the last 12, 18 months. We have other MOUs with utilities and other projects moving along, but I think it's the first true visible validation and accreditation of what we're doing because it's moved to public endorsement. I think the benefits are now starting to see greater interest in terms of its simplicity and energy efficiency. And I guess the relevance of the European market needs to evolve quite quickly. We haven't seen a lot of maturity in projects develop, and we're starting to see the next round of public funding come through to support projects. So as an ecosystem here in Europe, we're advancing, and we think we can start to demonstrate and replicate more of this scale and opportunity here in Europe for our company.
Martin, I hope you'll keep us updated on any additional progress. Thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you, Stephen.
That's Provaris Energy Managing Director and CEO Martin Carolan.